Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Purple haze in my brain.
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band to Target Center March 31st. Tickets available. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry, no. My favorite Springsteen.
I love Springsteen. Yeah.
Wayward Son, my favorite. Let's listen to another talk back.
Hi, we're looking for the common man, Dan Cole. This is the phone call you've been waiting your whole life for. We weren't able to reach you, so we decided to do a talk back.
Okay.
We're ready to change your life.
Yes!
Get back to us within the next week.
Okay.
It is October 26th, 2004. Go ahead and get back to us as soon as you can.
Guess I waited a bit too long. October 26, 2020. Ooh. 04 to 14. This is how you do decades. 14 to 24 is 20. It's 22 years ago. I guess I missed that call that would change my life, which is unfortunate for me. I had another. Oh, here it is. This is NBA. You might think this is like one of those. What's that satire? It's called
The Onion.
NBA expansion. What to know about potential new teams in Las Vegas and Seattle? This league is really going to expand? Does it have that much popularity? You too can watch your team tank the second half of the season. You too can watch your team not play defense for half the season or more.
They barely have enough players as it is with all the load management.
That's what I
thought. They're going to fill out more teams.
A dateline. There is no dateline for this story. It's just by Jimmy Herbert. Says at the NBA's Board of Governors meetings next week, team owners will vote on moving forward with adding expansion teams in Las Vegas and Seattle. That's according to ESPN. If 23 of the 30 governors vote in favor, the NBA will proceed to take bids for the new franchises. According to ESPN, there is increasing support for expansion among owners, though some of them, quote, want to see the final valuations of the bids, plus the individual franchise fees before deciding whether to expand now or in a few more years. In other words, it's all about the universal language, money. So in other words, if they don't think the expansion fees are up, they're going to, let's wait a few more years. Let's wait till it goes through the roof, right? Seattle's not had an NBA franchise since the Supersonics' controversial move to Oklahoma City in 2008. Think about that. They missed out on the world championship. If they'd just been patient. All they needed was to wait another, to 18 to 20 years. All they had to wait was another 18 years and they would have had a world championship. Or no, not even 18, 17 years.
Yeah.
That's all they had to wait. They got impatient in Seattle. 17 lousy years and you would have had a world championship. I think the Supersonics did win one, didn't they?
They might have.
Can you look that up?
Yeah.
And why was it controversial? I don't remember any controversy. Of course, if you think I'm paying less attention to the NBA now as I once did, you should have saw how little attention I paid back in 2008.
The Supersonics, they did. In 1979, they beat something called the Washington Bullets 4-1 in the finals.
Let me guess. Let me see if I know my Seattle Supersonics basketball history. Jack Sikma.
He was listed as a key player.
You didn't think I knew anything about Seattle Supersonic basketball, did you?
I didn't know you were an elite Supersonic mind.
I am. Jack Sikma. Let me see if I can name one other player.
I can tell you who the finals MVP was.
Tiny Archibald.
No. Something named Dennis Johnson.
DJ.
Yes.
Is that the DJ that went to Boston eventually? That can't be the same guy, can it? I guess it could be.
Might be.
Because DJ went to Boston.
He did.
Yeah, and he had some great seasons. He won some. He won some ships with our guy Kevin McHale.
The late Might I add, Dennis Johnson.
Do you know who? First name I can't escape me. Parrish for Boston.
Mark Parrish?
No, wrong Parrish.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking hockey. The guy for Boston, the Celtics. His name was Nathaniel Parrish. No, that's not it either.
Robert
Parrish. You know what his nickname was?
I see it.
Chief.
Yeah.
Does it say why his nickname was Chief? Because I don't remember.
I
think you know what I think it was? I think before he became an NBA player, he was with the fire department. And they called him Chief.
That could be.
Because he was a fire chief. Yeah, no, it is. It's true.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's true. He was a fire chief with the Seattle Fire Department before he moved to Boston. He played with DJ and Jack Sikma. So anyway, Las Vegas has never had an NBA team, but the WNBA's Aces have operated there since 2018. I mean, when you're called the Aces and you're Las Vegas and you're the play-by-play guy, just think of all the, we got an ace in the hole now. You know, think of all the lingo you got. What do we want to do here in this situation? Do we want to hold or have them hit us? You know, I mean, you just can use all the gambling lingo. You know, if you're stuck on 17 points, you say we got to stay on 17, but you hit on 16. Does this mean expansion could be approved next week? No, is the answer. Voting to move forward with the process at these Board of Governor meetings scheduled for March 24 and 25 would not seal the deal on Las Vegas. Oh, get it? Seal the deal on Las Vegas. And Seattle getting teams. That vote would take place later this year. What it would mean, essentially, is the NBA could meet with prospective ownership groups and take bids on the expansion teams. After years of speculation, it would make a return to Seattle and an arrival in Vegas more real than ever before, but there would still be more work to do. How much will these teams cost? This is the $64,000 answer. Actually, probably the $64 billion answer. That'd be a bit too much. Here's what it says. Bids for the franchises are expected to come. What do you think they'll come between? What do you think the numbers are? They have two numbers that they think the bids will come somewhere between this number, the lower number, and the higher number. What do you think those two numbers are?
10 to 20 billion.
This is 7 billion to 10 billion, so 10 on the high.
This is close.
That's per ESPN citing industry executives. Last year, the Celtics sold at a valuation of $6.1 billion. The Lakers sold at a valuation of $10 billion. In the Portland Trailblazers, you could have bought them at the dollar store. They were only $4.25 billion. How embarrassing to be the Portland Trailblazers. That's like living in Edina as compared to, well, you fill in the blank with, I don't want to insult any other suburb, but let's just
that one town you're thinking of.
Yeah, that one town you're thinking of. That would be the one.
What did the poll ads try to sell the Twins for? Wasn't it like 7 or 1.7?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. What about conference realignment? If expansion is ultimately approved, there will be 32 NBA teams, and the two new ones will both be in the Western Conference, which only makes sense. You're in the western part of the country. Seattle's over in the last I checked, and I think they're still there unless they've fallen off the coast. They're in the Pacific Northwest, and Las Vegas is in Death Valley. In this scenario, either the Memphis Grizzlies or Minnesota Timberwolves are expected to move to the Eastern Conference. Can we have that happen now before playoffs begin? I'd sure like to be in the East. Because I think in the East, it's Detroit, Boston, and maybe, is Cleveland any good? Indiana is one of those teams. I think
yes, the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, and everybody else.
Yeah, okay, Knicks.
Yeah.
That's a little bit, that's a path of least resistance when you compare it to Thunder, Spurs, Lakers, Rockets, Nuggets, right? The Golden State Warriors, I think, are pretty much donezo, I think. I guess maybe if Steph comes back, but he's not expected back, I think, for several more weeks, if I saw that correctly. So,
did you see the viral video of Steph the other day on the bench?
No.
Where he's in his street clothes, and instead of watching the game, he's got a towel between his arms and he's working on his golf swing on the sidelines. I know. He's got a great swing.
Wants to play on the, wants to get a tour card someday.
He's
him,
pretty good.
Thielen, Romo. Good luck to them all. We'll pause. We'll come back. We'll do some more exploratory surgery on some other topics. That's next. Common Man Program on the Fan.
Are you looking to score tickets to the biggest games and concerts in town?
Yes.
From the Minnesota Wild?
No.
To Santana?
Feels like the first time.
To the Doobie Brothers?
It was raining hard in Frisco. I needed one more fare to make my night.
And Chris Stapleton? Operator?
No. I once thought his love as a prison, a place I didn't want to be.
And more. Your chance to win is just waiting there. Enter now. KFAN.com, keyword contest.
We've been doing some talkback stuff here on the Fan on a Talker Tuesday. We appreciate your contributions and your patronage. Here's another one that came in not too terribly long ago.
Common. Excellent transition between Vikings, ancient TVs, and Rudy Gobert. I have a cup of the purple Kool-Aid close to my lips, thinking about Kyler Murray and what could possibly happen, or what could break my heart. I hesitate to take a sip. I think I'll wait and see.
Nice of Paul Peterson to...
That was a hell of a transition between the Vikings, ancient TVs, and Rudy Gobert, right? I never did find out, were you more of a Magnavox guy or a Zenith guy?
Which one should I be?
Well, Zenith, I think, was more popular. That was kind of the hip now. That was the Gen Z TV, pardon the pun.
Okay.
But I was more of a Magnavox guy. I have a Magnavox stereo system. It's one of those... It's from 1964, I believe. I may have talked about this on the air before. I inherited from my mother-in-law and father-in-law one of those. It looks like I think it's fake wood, but it's about the size of an old, chest freezer. and you slide. It has a slide opening on the top, right? And on one side is the turntable and the stereo system, AM, FM. And on the other, if you pull the top of the lids, if you pull them to the other side, that's where you store all of your LPs, your long plays, your 33 1/3. And it was in mint condition. My father-in-law still had the inside the cabinet. That's what it is. That's what I'm thinking. It's a cabinet stereo. Inside the cabinet, there was still the receipt from the store he bought it from in St. Cloud.
Wow.
And it was like $234. I think about $234. That'll get you a flight on Frontier from Atlanta to Tampa. Trust me, it's actually a little more than that. It cost me $303. A seat that I didn't even sit in. But, there's nothing you wouldn't do for your kids. You don't have any children yet, at least not that you know of, right?
That's correct. Not yet.
Would you like to raise a family? Would you like to sail away and dance across the mountains on the moon? I mean, what do you want to do with your life?
Yeah, one day. We'll get there one day, yeah. So it sounds like you didn't make that $300 last.
Can you make that last? And I could not. That was a hell of a transition. The purple Kool-Aid thing, it's funny, but after I read what CBS Sports said about, giving grades to the Vikings, basically saying it was basically the greatest free agent signing of a released player in the history of not just the history of the NFL, but in all of sports. It basically, like you said, the headline could have been, Minnesota, do you like parades? And so it's fun to think about, but we'll have to just wait and see how it goes. Okay. We were talking about NBA expansion, correct? Apparently, the Board of Governors meetings, they're going to vote on the idea, should we consider expansion, and if we do, we'll start taking bids to the highest bidder. The story went on to say there was a Minnesota angle to it. If let's say Seattle and Las Vegas are the two cities that get expansion franchises, and whoever those owners may be, we don't know, they'll be the highest bidders. They would both be in the West, which would mean either Minnesota or Memphis would move to the East. So I asked AI, which city is further east, Memphis or Minneapolis, and by how many miles? Memphis is further east than Minneapolis. Memphis is located approximately 240 miles further east than Minneapolis, based on longitude coordinates. Longitude, latitude, changes in attitude, changes in latitude. While Minneapolis is significantly further north, Memphis sits to the east, and Memphis is roughly at 90 degrees west longitude compared to Minneapolis at roughly 93 degrees west longitude. And then there's a misconception. It says, although the Minnesota Timberwolves are often considered for a move to the Eastern Conference, Memphis is geographically the more eastern city of the two. Now, I know in the NFL they've never cared about geographic locations, because when you have Washington, Philadelphia,
Dallas.
Well, no, I'm getting to that. What's the other one?
Sorry.
You got to do it in the right order, see?
The Giants.
Washington, Philadelphia, and the Giants in the East, along with the Dallas Cowboys. That makes no sense in any way, shape, or form, which is one of the... Did you ever know Kevin O'Connell says that all the time? In any way, shape, or form. He likes that cliche. I do too. I use it a lot as well. That's about the only thing that two of us have in common. It only makes sense that Memphis moves to the east. Now, if I'm, and look at as time goes by, I realized. You know who did that song?
No.
A band called the Toddlin' Town, Chicago. So, as time goes on, things can change. Within the next couple of years, or next half a decade, 6-7 years, the East could be the significantly stronger conference. Right now, I think it's pretty overloaded on the West. So right now, being in the West, it seems like it's a taller task to get to the NBA Finals than it is in the East. Right, at least on paper. So right now, if I'm the Wolves, I mean, I'm starting to try to I'm searching for a cliche, grease the skids to get us in the East, because right now you would rather be in the East. Your roadblocks to an NBA Finals are significantly not as difficult, I think, in the East as they are in the West. But if you're going by longitude, latitude, and attitude, it's definitely Memphis gets to go. But that's neither here nor there. We have to wait for the Board of Governors meeting. We'll break. We'll come back. One more segment to go on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Catch every tournament upset and every highlight with the Fan at Hop House. You can join Guardsy, Meat Sauce, and Parker Fox for Bracket Bash watch parties this Thursday, tipping off at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Catch all the college hoops action on big screens and prizes flowing all day long, including 65-inch TVs. Get all the details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Can you make that last? Would be my question. So let's just say, for argument's sake, they decide to award a team to whoever it might be, and they will, again, I think the NBA has their, it's not like Brett Blakemore, and I think you might have the money because you're traveling, you're flying like 5-6 times a year, you're going to Puerto Rico one weekend, Costa Rica the next weekend, some other Rica the next, Eureka, I think, California. You ever been to Eureka, California?
I'm not.
Neither have I. I think they have to. It's got to be Seattle. It's got to be Vegas if that's the two cities. They can't just say, I think I want to put one in Des Moines, Iowa. They're going to go, it's not going to work. So
I'd put one in Des Moines.
But what would be if the nicknames are always the thing that's fascinating to me. When Washington decided to go to the Commanders, I thought it should have been the Walrus because I just think it sounds great. I like it. I think the Wild are the Minnesota Wild the only professional sports team in the men's major 4 that have a name that doesn't have an S at the end?
There's a select few.
Well, who are the other ones? Because you got the Blues, the Rangers, the Bruins, the Red Wings, the Blackhawks. They all have S. The Kraken.
The Kraken would be one. The Avalanche would be another.
That's 2.
The Jazz.
Oh, yeah. The
Magic.
The Magic. Oh,
it's magic.
I guess there are more than just one.
But it's a very few and far between.
The Walrus would have an S at the end, but it would be a kind of a different S at the end, right? Because if there were more than one Walrus on the team, they would be the Walruses. And I've already said this before. I just like the idea of, from the Beatles song, I'm the Walrus, goo goo ka-choo. The fans could chant that every time the team scored a tutty. But would you just go back to the Supersonics? Would you go ahead and you wouldn't have to? But to me, if I were the guy that had that kind, and I can't make that kind of money last. That's why I can't buy a team. You think I could make? Let's say it goes between 7 and 10 billion. I can't make 10 billion last. I can't make that last. I mean, because I got to buy a house, got to buy a car, save, spend, invest, flaunt. I don't think I could make that last. But if I did, and I would say I would go back to the Supersonics. I would go ahead and honor the past. Though some would say you can't go back, right? You can never go home. So how could you, let the Supersonics with that one world championship back, would you say it was 79 when they won that title?
I did. Yep.
Leave that to that version of Seattle's National Basketball Association. But I would want to do it sort of as a, in honor of the, as an, play homage, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't call them the Kraken. That's taken, right? Can't call them the Seahawks. That's taken. So you can't call them the Mariners because that's taken. So I might go back now with Vegas again. The gambling. They have the WNBA has the Aces. There's always. You could call them the Las Vegas slots, right? Shots, slots. You could call them the. If they're really bad, you could just call them the Vegas craps. But if they're really good, that doesn't make any sense then. How about the Vegas 7-10 split? No, that's bowling. That'd be for the pro bowling team.
Isn't the WNBA team the Aces? Or don't they have a team called the Aces? It's right up there.
I just said that like 15 seconds ago. It must just be when you're producing this show. Because it happens to you and it happens to Tennessee. Anything I say just goes in one ear and out the other. Because I just said that.
I know.
Oh, you
I didn't know.
Oh, did you do it on purpose?
No, I didn't. I wish I did.
Now do you ever thrown dice? You ever play craps?
No, I know you have to take like lessons to do it.
Well,
or some people can, I guess.
No, there are some things you need to know. Yeah, look, I've done it. I've gone there before. I bellied up to the crap table, had $100 and looked at one of the pit guys and said, "Teach me how to play blackjack." And he basically said, "We'll take your, craps." He goes, "We'll take your $100. We'll show you how it's done." And he gave me the basics. You actually only need to know a few basics, but if you want to know all the different bets, and I probably to this day don't know all the different bets or combinations thereof, but I'm well versed enough in it where I can go up to a crap. Last time I played craps, I won $300. Horn, please. So I know how to roll the bones. You could call them the Vegas Bones, right? You know, that's what they call dice, right? You know that, right? That's
the lingo.
That's a nickname for dice. You call them the Bones. The Vegas Roulette. The Roulette Wheels. The Vegas Hold'ems. No, that's now we're dead. So, yeah, but I mean, my guess is they would probably, you know, that's because that's how the creativity works. You would use something gambling related, right? The Vegas Keynotes. I don't know, but we'll have to just wait and see how that that pans out. And like I say, I just don't think there are no imminent decisions. It's just, first of all, are we going to start accepting bids? Yes, we are. And then they'll start to accept them, and then they'll go from there. And then whoever gets the team will have to come up with a name for the franchise. On March Madness, are you a big March Madness guy?
I enjoy it.
I do too.
Yeah, it's not lock into every single game, but it's keeping up. It's knowing who the Cinderellas are.
I think I like. I don't know if I don't think I'm alone here. I kind of like that first weekend because there's so much going on. You know, you've got, and part of it's because I can go to a live listening at any time and then just finish my lunch, right? But I do like the idea that there's so many games going on all across the country. You have 4 networks. You have CBS, TNT, True TV, and TBS all running games at the same time, right? And they stagger the start time, so you're always checking in on different games, and it's a lot of fun. And I think most of us enjoy the upsets when a 13 beats a 116, 215, 314, 413, 512. Is that what it would be?
Yeah.
When a 12 beats a 5, I think we all enjoy that, unless you happen to be your alma mater is the 5, right? Otherwise, you enjoy the upsets. Sweet 16 is cool too. And, I mean, the whole thing is really good, but I do like that first weekend more than anything. I've said this before. I guess if you fill out a bracket, you have a rooting interest at that point. You become the rooting interest, right? You're not so much. I mean, obviously you're rooting for certain teams to win, but it's really all about you. I, me, mine, all through the day. I, me, mine. I like having a team. My favorite, I had 3 seasons, 3 March Madnesses that I really enjoy. Obviously, the one that we're supposed to forget even happened when the Gophers went to the Final Four. 97 with Bobby Jackson was on that club, right? Trev Winter, who we text and talk more than most people. That was the Jan Gangelhoff one. Jan Gangelhoff. She did coursework for some of the players. And the Gophers, if you look in the record books, they're 0-27 that season. But that was fun because you didn't know at the time what was going on. You were just watching the games. It was so cool to watch the hometown team because you just don't see it here. You don't, right? You've never, in my lifetime, I never saw a team make a march to the Final Four, Minnesota Golden Gopher team. The other 2 years were back when I was in the state of Wyoming, and I've recanted this tale before. It was when you're in Wyoming, there are no pro teams. You have University of Wyoming, and that's it, right? And they're down in Laramie, and their sports teams leave. Josh Allen, though, was a Wyoming Cowboy. You know that, right? But their teams leave a lot to be desired. And in the mid-'80s, they had 2 players, Fennis Dembo and Eric Lechner. Dembo was the shooting guard, brilliant player. And then they had a guy named Eric Lechner. He was the 6'11", big dopey center, right? And they, out of nowhere, in '86, had a tremendous season, and they went to the NIT. Maybe it was a 3-year stretch, not NIT. Yeah, NIT. They went to the NIT. I don't remember if they won it or not. Maybe they won the NIT. Anyways, the following year, they got to the Sweet 16 and then got run over by the Runnin' Rebs out of Las Vegas. I watched that game in a hotel room because I was out in Casper, Wyoming, doing high school state play-by-play basketball, sort of like what JG was doing the other day. And I watched them. I got home and got back to the room in time to watch them, and they got beat. It was. I'm not gonna say heartbreaking, but it was. It was heartbreaking because it's our only claim to fame was the Wyoming men's basketball team. So the next year they were the cover story of Sports Illustrated's NCAA preview issue for the NCAA season. And it had Fennis Dembo on the front. Of course, they have to do the stereotypical, he's wearing a cowboy hat, he's wearing the gloves and the chaps, and he's sitting up on a fence post, right? And they were talking about how exciting that team was. And they were really good. And they got to the NCAA tournament, but they ended up, this was what was so sad. They ended up getting a game against, I always forget I think it was Loyola Marymount. Was it Paul Westhead or was it Paul Westfall? One of those two coaches was the guy that did like full court press, start to finish, right? I mean, they didn't play any half court basketball at all. Well, in Wyoming was a half court team. So it was probably the worst possible matchup for the Cowboys. And it ended up, they gave them everything they wanted. They lost by, I think, 2 points. It was like a 91-89 game. So they played with them toe-to-toe with us. And that was, other than the 4 Vikings big games and all their NFC Championship game losses, and the Lions losing in the 91 NFC Championship game, that was probably that was the result that was most psychologically devastating to me because I thought we were going to make a run. It was the old got to the door, knocked on the door, we're going to kick it in. And then we just got this, and again, you got to beat them all. So it's not like, if we wouldn't have had that matchup, but that was the one they drew and it was just not a good one for them, despite the fact they played with them toe to toe, start to finish. And it ended up, it just didn't work out that way. So those are the only times I've really had a team Now, you get those, who was the Catholic gal, the nun, sister, what's her face?
Loyola, Chicago, I think.
Yeah, so you kind of go, hey, that's kind of cool. It's a cool little story. There's always one story out there, right? Especially if it's a 13 seed, right? Didn't North Carolina State do that a few years ago? They had the really big guy. I mean, tall and wide. And they just made a run. It was like they were beating teams they weren't supposed to beat, and that's fun. The only team now that interests me going into this would be Nebraska ball. And that's strictly because I gave them a lot of money over the past 4 years.
Or the Ohio State?
Yeah, I guess. And that's no disrespect to or my boy, baby brother Peter, because that is his school, but he's won. Look, they won the NCAA. Didn't they win football last year? The national championship?
I think so.
They've won their national
They've
championship.
won it.
They've won it. And their basketball team, they're just, I'd love to see them make a run, but they're just all right. And if Ohio State, they have everything. They're a blue blood. Michigan's a blue blood. Duke's a blue blood. North Carolina. Maybe not in all basketball. I'm just talking about teams that always seem to do well in at least one sport, if not several. And Nebraska hasn't done anything in football in a number of years now, right? Wasn't there last?
Since the 90s, really.
Was it 95 the last time I think it was 95 was the last time they won an Addy. But their basketball, they are the only team, this is what it says. Nebraska is the only school in a power conference that has never won a game in the NCAA tournament. The Huskers are 0-8 on the sport's biggest stage. Sam Hoiberg, he's son of Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg, the head coach, right? Fred played for the Minnesota Timberwolves for a while, blah, blah, blah. He's the coach of Nebraska now. And here's what his son Sam said. He's a fifth-year starting guard. He said, it's definitely a thing. It's not like we don't talk about it. Everybody knows it. I mean, everybody knows. They talk about it. He says, as a matter of fact, I thought I saw another story. Or maybe this was the same one. Yeah, here it is. Dateline, Nebraska. Lincoln, Nebraska. Whenever Price Sanford stops by the downtown Chipotle to grab a bite, Someone in line will ask to take a picture with him and offer congratulations on what has so far been the greatest of all Nebraska basketball seasons. Invariably, Sanford also gets the same question as teammates and players of the past have been asked. Will this year be the year the Cornhuskers curse is broken? Because they've just never won. So now that gives me, because I have a tie to Nebraska to the tune of about $100,000. Well, I could have gone to Costa Rica many times with that $100,000.
Many times over. Yeah.
So I have the tie there with Deuce. There's the Hoiberg tie because he's kind of sort of one of us, right? Matter of fact, I think I read in another story, he still has a place he plays up at the Pines a lot. He's got a place up in the Brainerd Lakes area. I think he still considers Minnesota home. And because of the curse, having never won an NCAA, 0-8 in the NCAA, sort of like with Halvey, hope he's not listening, I don't want to get him all bitter again. But like, if I have my facts correct, maybe you know, White Bear Lake boys hockey has never won a game at the state tournament. They've been to state many times, but lose every single year in the quarterfinals. I don't think they've ever advanced. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
I believe that's correct. So Nebraska sort of, they are the college basketball version of the White Bear Lake boys high school hockey team. So that's where my tie is. So, though I preferred, margaritas rather than Mai Tais. How about you? Which one do you like better?
I think of Marg sounds good.
You're Marg?
Yeah.
I was never really a Mai Tai guy. But my tie is to Nebraska. Because of that. So I've got a team where I can kind of, hey, this is kind of fun. And, it's not like they're a Cinderella story about a Cinderella kid in a Cinderella town. Will the glass Chuck Taylor fit? Will Hoiberg turn into a pumpkin? You got all that going for you. But at least it is a team that they have the curse, and I've got a tie. So it's not the same as having the Minnesota Golden Gophers playing in the NCAA tournament. But that being said, it is it's something to pique my curiosity. So Nebraska, I will be watching. And then you know what? Another one I look for connections. Trevor Winter's boy Nolan plays on Wisconsin, and I know Trevor from back in the olden days, back when he was playing at the University of Minnesota. He invited me to potato to a game once. He said, I want you to come and watch us play. He was a big fan of the show back in the day. I'm not so sure he is now. That was back when he was, young and still mind developing. Now that his mind is developed, he's probably listening to smarter shows. And then his boy played Nolan, who's with Wisconsin. Good player, too. He's got a ton of talent. Baby brother Peter played against him when Pete was at Eastridge. He was at North. So I've got that connection. So I know if you're in Minnesota, you're not supposed to root for Wisconsin. I put those things. Friendships and family are above rivalries for me. The border doesn't mean anything to me. So those are the two teams that I will be pulling for. Is Iowa in the tournament? I know Iowa State is.
Yeah, I think both of them are. Yeah. Iowa and Iowa State.
Iowa State they get a 2 seat?
They're high up there, either 2 or 3.
They got a 2 or 3, right? That's a pretty good ball club. Are you a fan of either?
I'm kind of a weird split. I'm definitely not a Hawkeye. That's for sure.
Why is that?
Just never was. Never. My mom was a big Iowa State person.
Oh, okay.
My sister betrayed the family and went to Iowa. So we've never let her live that down.
Does she still get to come home like on holidays?
She does. Yeah. Okay. And then my dad went to Wisconsin, so he brainwashed me to be a Badger fan. So I'm all over the place. Really.
On Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Now, if Brown Institute had a team, I'd be pulling for them, but the school doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't. It went defunct. Brown University. Well, Brown Institute. It's still my favorite story. You've heard this, right? I've recanted this tale
I think
a couple
so.
times. Alec Lewis of the Athletic came in to play Program Password, and I said, hey, can you hang around and talk a little Vikings football for a segment? He goes, sure, why not? He said, you know what? When I hear the clown from Brown and you're open, I thought you went to Brown University. Now think about that. Brown University, I looked it up. They are the 13th ranked university in all of the United States. That's how highly regarded they are. And he thought I went to there. It makes me wonder about Alec Lewis's education and just his general perception of what the world's all about.
He's just a trustworthy guy.
I guess.
You say you go to Brown, he thought you went to Brown.
Well, I did. It's just he probably should have taken a deeper look and said, well, that can't be Brown University, can it? But lo and behold, boy, we had fun today. We did it without Rosen. We did it without Nico. I could get used to this.
It's not bad.
This monologue with a little help from my friends, as Ringo Starr would sing, sang, sung. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job today.
You as well. I enjoyed our visit with, as Brett Blakemore did with you today. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Rock Talk at 1:15 with Brian Oak, Mark Rosen at 2. Big Ticket JGR next, right here on The Fan.
Good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.